This week I went to the fridge and I got a carrot. So as you know, in my last few weeks I've talked about the need of going out to the garden and planting seeds to harvest some new students. So I've done that, and I thought what better time than this week to then start trying to convert those new students into regulars and open up the pre-booking frenzy. So in my analogy, I went to the fridge this week and tried to get my other students back there, and didn't put as big of a focus on new students. And I only got 50 bookings so far. That's it. So last week I was even better skipping the pre-booking frenzy. I think that just shows you it is very tough out there, and I'll get into that on things we can do, the fourth part of my agenda. So the first thing that we'll get into is, and what I'm going to start is a quick 30-second part into my videos where I'm going to give a tip for weight loss. So I know that's top of mind for a lot of people, or even just controlling your weight, whatever. But I'll get into tips. I was 210 pounds back a few years ago, and I'm now $180. So I'll give you some tips and these are unconventional tips that are a little bit different. And I'm going to start with this one right here. Eat lots of raw vegetables. So our diet as a whole, we don't get enough vegetables, and this has been one key to success for me, eating lots of carrots, other raw vegetables that will help to make you full, and there aren't very many calories. So that's my first tip. Eat lots of raw vegetables, especially carrots. Okay, let's get into other things here. Number 2, that there'll never be too many teachers. So VIPKid, the way I look at it from their lens anyways, is there won't ever be too many teachers. And for VIPKid, they have always advertised that this is a part-time gig. They have. I remember when I started back last year, I think they were quoting on their website, make between like $800 and $1,200 a month or something like that. It was very low, and at that time I was diving into it full time, so I'm like, I hope I can make more than that because I can't live full time on that. So they do advertise as being part-time, so you can't fault them for misleading us and saying, oh, we were promised the world or full-time. So you can't knock them for that. But their strategy has got to be, and if I were them, I'd be doing the same thing. I would. The more teachers, the merrier. And I'm going to list reasons on why that's going to be the case and always will be the case. So here's the first reason. Look at their new pay system, their new pay structure. The less the teachers teach, the cheaper it is for the classes. That's just a reality. Look at the pay structure. I've done a video on pay structure for dummies, myself included, which I'll link right up here for you to take a look at. But if you're teaching 45 classes, you're only getting $9 a class. Whereas if you're teaching 100 classes, you're now $9.50. If you're teaching 220, you're $10. Yes, that's based on a certain amount of classes, but most of us would fit in that window. So it makes sense. The more teachers they have, the less each teacher is teaching, the more money they make. So that's the first key reason here. The second reason is on expansion. So if they're looking to expand, they need lots and lots of teachers, which inevitably they're going to expand. They will expand into other countries. I think it's a given. It's just a matter of when, in my opinion. The next one, performance. The more teachers that there are, then the higher we have to perform as teachers to be able to retain our students and attract new ones. So that's bringing up performance. So that makes sense for VIPKid to do that also. The next one, short notice bookings. The more teachers, the less they need to give for short notice bookings. And as I've mentioned over and over again, they will probably get rid of that. Once they get to a level of amount of teachers, they just don't need to give that anymore, which I've mentioned in a prior video. I think that'll save them about $10 million a year just by not having that $2 premium. And other things here quickly, just on changes. So if VIPKid changes things, teachers will leave. Well, that's not as big of an issue because they've got lots of teachers. Competitors are going to poach their teachers with better deals. So if people leave again, they have lots of teachers. So I can't see them ever stopping. So it's just have that in our vision that's just going to be a reality, that they will never stop hiring. It'll probably become tougher and tougher to get bookings. That's just, in my opinion, going to be inevitable. So let's shift on now into a different topic on topics. I'm on food here. Topic of booking headwinds. So I've mentioned in other videos headwinds that we're facing. Well, unfortunately, I need to add some more onto here. And I'm not going to leave on a negative note. At the end, I will give you my tips on what I think we can do to help with our bookings also, because I don't like complaining unless I can give some help on what we can do. Before I go into that, please do like my videos if you do find them useful. It helps them get more views. I really appreciate the likes, and I also appreciate your comments that you leave. I love reading them. I answer them all if I can. And please do subscribe. As you mentioned, I will not accept referrals from this channel. Subscriptions is the only way I'll ever make a dime off this one. Please do subscribe to my channel. It makes my day. So let's go into the booking headwinds, other ones that I'm seeing. Kids are on extended hours, so the ones that are back in school, they're not only going to school all week, but often they're doing stuff outside of school. So there's online stuff that they're doing, or maybe they're staying in school longer. So there's extra stuff now that they're being given to try and catch up. Some students are even going to school on Saturday now. I've heard of that. So just think about that. If kids are going to school more often, they're not going to take as many VIPKid classes. So that's a reality. And as I mentioned in a prior video, Beijing students are going back here at the start of June. So that's going to be another headwind there, that they're going to be swamped with work also. Another headwind is it's been very clear that there is a referral backlog here. So people have said that there are just so many teachers coming through that things are just stymied in certain stages. And I don't think it's because there aren't as many workers. I think it's because, well, that could be part of it, but mostly because there's just tons of VIPKid teachers applying. Between brick and mortar that aren't working, at least not as much in terms of hours that way. And they're jumping on here, applying, or the ones that are currently VIPKid teachers are teaching more. So just that's a headwind that we're facing. And out of cash. So we gotta keep in mind that people in China, the people that are buying the classes, the parents are probably running short on cash. So maybe their courses, they bought a bunch of them, and once they ran out of them, they're just going to stop. So that might be what we're seeing now, is that the amount of bookings are coming down because of lack of cash, which makes perfect sense. Parent referrals. So I mentioned that VIPKid is changing their referral system, where they used to give out lots of extra classes to parents if they found another parent to jump on to VIPKid, and they've really dropped that down. So that's going to hurt bookings, and some parents have just left because of that. So keep that in mind also. And just that's the biggest things that I'm seeing right now that I haven't mentioned much before on some of the headwinds that we're facing. So what can we do about it? Here's what I think we can do about it. The nights are still up for the taking, and I don't like doing this, but even, I mean, working more on the weekends, working into the wee hours, you know, maybe pulling an all-nighter from time to time. If you're really needing bookings, that Friday, Saturday into there, coinciding with their Saturday, Sunday, that is up for the taking. My Saturday and Sundays are booking out nicely right now. The other days are a little hit or miss, but those Saturday, Sundays for Beijing, like that time over there, is great. So all-nighters, I'm sorry to suggest that, but if you're really desperate for bookings, I know that there's some demand that's there for that part. Other things is really working on getting those 5 apples back. Like that percentage, the higher that is, the more likely you're going to get booked. So really grind those parents down to give you 5 apples on different ways to do that. And also just trying to get as many new students as you can and retain the ones that you've got. So again, it just comes down to performance in your overall classes. But just those things are what I'm seeing right now in terms of trying to get as many bookings, because I know it is difficult out there. I know that. Keep at it. Keep your chin up. It's going to get better in July. And the reason why I say July is because that's when I think the coronavirus as a whole is just going to come down a little bit. Like in terms of people are going to go back to work. Things are going to get a little bit more normal. So that's just going to bring down the teacher supply. Maybe the students might be off school, so that will help with nights. So I just think we got to get through May and June, and things will pick up in July. And going forward, it'll start to be a little bit easier to get bookings. So hopefully that helps. Leave some comments, subscribe to the channel, like my video please, and I'll see you next in the next few days. I try and do lots of videos every couple days here. Come back to the channel and see what's going on. Bye everybody.